Dearly beloved, we are gathered today for a eulogy for the chilling adventures of Sabrina. One of Netflix's most bewitching, bewildering shows is coming to an end. The fourth season is on Netflix now, the fourth and final season. I am heartbroken. I have loved this show since the very beginning. For my review, we're going to say goodbye to the show. We're going to celebrate all the wild witchiness that led us to this point while also reviewing season 4, which I have some issues with. Yes, as much as I'm here to celebrate the life of the chilling adventures of Sabrina, we still have to keep it real. This isn't going to be one of those eulogies that oh, they were the best person ever. No, this show had some issues and season 4 is no different, but let's get together, let's get ready to talk about season 4, chapter 4 of the chilling adventures of Sabrina. From the very start of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, I was in on this. I even compared it to my favorite TV show of all time, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It just had a similar vibe. The weird occult, the weird supernatural vibe, but the high school setting. Our blonde female lead, who was a little kick-ass, a little annoying at times, especially this season. Oh my god, Sabrina, we have some things to talk about. But yeah, I was really interested in this show from the very jump. I was engaged by it from that first, second, and third season. Now when we get to season 4, I still really like it. I actually think the show ended on a pretty good note. It's not probably the ending that they had planned because I think Netflix kind of came out of nowhere with the cancellation for this, but at the same time, I would rather it end on a high note than get dragged out. We get to 6, 7 seasons, and you're like, what are we still doing here? That's actually an issue I had with a show like Buffy, where we got to that 6th and 7th season, and they're not my favorite. It wasn't the conclusion that they wanted. It just felt like they were just kind of dragging along to make that more money. Here, Sabrina said, look, this may not be the conclusion we had planned, but we're still going to offer something kind of wild, and that's what this season was, with the Eldritch terrors kind of being around, being the big force, with one popping up almost every episode. That was really interesting. The structure of this season has been one of my favorites. They took the whole concept of the monster of a week that we saw in X-Files and Buffy and really elevated that to a whole new level. Instead of monsters of the week, we are getting cosmic deities that are coming out and doing the weird, the perverse, the just the wildness of this whole season. The stuff that these Eldritch terrors were doing was so interesting. And then our characters, the ones we all know and love, they went through it this season. Not as much as last season when we saw everyone get killed and oh my god, that last season was stressful. But now going to season 4, looking at this, I will be diving into spoilers, so just giving you guys a heads up. I have a lot of feelings and we're going to get into them right now. We know we left off season 3 with 2 Sabrinas. That was a big plot point of this season. I knew they weren't going to kind of just ignore it, but I love how it was. I loved both Sabrinas. I loved that they had a connection. They didn't really butt heads, as much as kind of sisters would, but they were still there for each other. I really liked the dual Sabrinas, and I thought she went through a lot, especially Sabrina Morningstar, who I liked that character a lot. Sabrina Spellman is the one we all know and love, but the Morningstar, iteration of her character was so interesting. Her stuff with Caliban, her stuff with her dad, I really liked it. And then the loss of her, it was kind of crazy as well. Sabrina went through a lot. I think her character, her end of her character, especially with her kind of sacrificing herself for all her friends, was very on brand for the character, but she also was paying for the sins that she committed very early on throughout this whole season and throughout the whole show, to be honest. I like the Sabrina character, but she hasn't always done the best for the world, for the community. She's been selfish a lot of times, and hell, she's a 16, 17-year-old girl. That is fair, that is valid to want to think of yourself and want to better yourself, but her character at the end sacrificed everything she had for the betterment of her aunts, her friends, friends, the families. It was just really nice to see, and I thought her character wasn't the best ending I've ever seen, but I do think it was something that was we were going to always build to that. I always think Sabrina was going to risk her life for everyone, especially after being selfish for so long, because that's the goddess in her. That's the power of a character like her. And hell, she got with her little endgame Nick Scratch, and that's fine. I think their little cute moment together, I was just much like my feelings on Buffy, sometimes I'm like, Sabrina, you could have been alone. What a concept. Like, you be strong and independent on yourself, but she got her cute, happy ending with Nick Scratch. So we have all the Sabrina stuff. But Sabrina really wasn't the biggest part of this season. I think stuff with Hilda and Zelda was pretty crazy. I think the stuff with Faustus Blackwood was pretty wild. He's a character I don't always love, but it was just kind of interesting to see him evolve here. And then we go to what, like, Lucifer stuff. Oh my god, Lucifer becoming more of a comedic character. He was so serious and menacing in other seasons, and in this season he felt a little bit lighter, a little bit more fun to be around, which was nice. Yeah, I liked a lot of what happened to our characters. I think, like, Theo got to have their love story. I think Roz and Harvey had a cute stuff. The one character who I think got screwed in a little in this season was Lilith, who is my favorite character out of everyone here. Much like Sabrina, she had to pay for some sins. She wasn't always the best character, but she did kind of get brought back down all the way she needed, and then they shot her back up with her amazing stuff, what she was doing to Lucifer. I'm glad she got her revenge in the end, while she still had to pay for all the badness that she did earlier. That stuff with her baby was brutal. Like, I was really not expecting that twist and that turn with Lilith, the baby Adam, and the stuff with Lucifer. That was tough to watch. Like, I think this show does really well when it's light and campy, but it has those really dark, very serious moments, and that's what I loved. It's sad to see this show go because no one ever mixed what this show did with the light campiness with that brutality, like the Lilith stuff. So I like what the show offered, and I'm just sad it's gone, but at the same time, I am happy that it concluded in a way that I thought was fairly satisfying. This season isn't perfect, though. I do have some issues with stuff, like I said, with the Lilith stuff I wasn't in love with. Also, retconning Roz as a witch pretty late in the game was strange. I like that she was there with, like, Marie and Prudence and, Roz. They got to be, like, the new weird sisters. I thought that was interesting. Them being sentinels, I thought that was just, again, a very interesting move. But changing Roz to a witch this late in the game felt very rushed. A lot of this season did have a rushed element. I think the final episode was pretty good. Then they do like a 2-week time jump in it, and it gave me like American Horror Story flashbacks where like Ryan Murphy would be like, this season finale is great. Let's jump 4 years into the future and give you something you didn't want. That was kind of how I felt here with the time jumps. This season finale felt like it could have been a half a season just in itself. So that's where I was a little torn. So we had the retconning with Roz. We had some of the rushed elements as well. I will also say I think this season was fairly cheaper looking than other ones. I still love that they do focus a lot on practical effects, but there was a lot of camera tricks. There was a lot of effects that weren't really as strong as other ones. I mean, there's characters that look like they were just wearing like Halloween store makeup and not like professional film makeup. So there's just little stuff like that I think the cracks were starting to show. I think Netflix was getting a little bit tighter on that budget, and I think it showed here in the way it was a little bit more rushed and the way it felt cheaper, but still, I can't think of a show on Netflix that gave me this element. I mean, like, The Haunting of Hill House is so prestige, bougie horror where it's a little bit more nice and polished, and a little bit probably better made. But Sabrina, there's truly nothing like this show. It's dark, it's weird, it's fun, it's accessible, and then we have like the lovingness of like the Hecate-ness, and I think they're teaching you to be an unapologetic feminist while still elevating the men and women around you, the trans characters. There's just a lot in the show that it did teach me lessons. It made me feel comfortable in myself as a queer person, as someone into the occult. It just offered a lot that it felt like a warm, demonic hug, but it still felt like a hug, and I just always needed it. I'm gonna miss this show when it like came on. I get so excited to watch it because this show is truly so unique, and I'm gonna miss it so much. I'm trying to not be too like, oh, where's it's gonna go? But I just had to do my eulogy here. See, look, I couldn't even do a full negative section without trying to wrap it up to a positive at the end, because that's exactly what Sabrina does for me. To kind of wrap this up, I want to talk about some of my favorite episodes and my favorite characters from this season. I really liked the Uninvited episode. It was a wedding vibe. There was a lot of fun stuff there. We got to see Hilda have her wedding. We also got to see Sabrina, like, marry that weird, nasty-looking person. I also loved the weird episode. Oh, I thought it was going to be a little bit more surreal and a little bit more strange, but it was a pretty fun episode. But the one that really stuck out to me is the one where we had Sabrina Morningstar in the alternate dimension, which brought back the older Hilda and Zelda from the Teenage Witch show in the 90s. Oh my goodness, with Talking Salem being one of the Eldritch Terrors, it was a fun episode. It's probably one of the weirdest, most out there episodes, and it wasn't as normal as we would normally see, but it reminded me of an episode of Buffy, a couple ones, where one where Jonathan had the wish and he kind of like made himself the hero, and then also the one where Buffy was in a mental institution and was something up with her brain. I thought that was a really good comparison to that. It gave us an alternate look, an alternate like view of this show, and the way it was so meta, where it was talking about TV shows, the endlessness of things. I just really liked this one, and the Talking Salem was pretty cool. I wish it was the iconic older voice actor, but what they did here was pretty fun. That Salem doll doesn't look great, but it really worked for me. Again, the cheapness at times works, and I think that episode really has it. I loved seeing the sound stages. I loved all the inside jokes. There's a lot in that episode. The laugh track, it is one of the best ones. If you can really check out one episode this season, I would recommend that one. You would be really lost if you only checked out that one, but still, for fans of the older show, for fans of self-aware horror that's in on jokes of the industry of TV, this is the perfect episode. It's really good, and there's so many good characters this season. The new Weird Sisters, I actually liked Nick Scratch a little bit. Nick Scratch, he's a character I didn't love, to kind of liking him here. Harvey, oh, I love him, that little cute little kinkle boy, love him so much, farm boy, nice guy. But yeah, I also really liked Sabrina this season, the character I always have the most issues with, but I got two Sabrinas and I only was annoyed by one of them half the time. She really atoned for it, and it changed a lot about her, and I loved the Lilith character. Did not love what they did to her this season, but I'm not going to complain, because she still acted. Michelle Gomez is amazing. Like, she is one of the best actresses. I love her. She's good. She always knows what she wants to do. Again, everyone was really good. The actor who plays Theo, the actor who plays Roz, everyone was such a good thing. I even like the Robin character. That little hobgoblin kind of surprised me this season. This was just jam-packed with so many characters. It's just like kind of all the familiar faces we all know and love, and it was so fun. I had such a good time with this season. It's not my favorite season. I will get that out of the way, but there's still all these characters, these fun episodes. It's a good send-off. Not the perfect send-off, but a good send-off. Alright everyone, that was it for my eulogy, my recap, my review of Sabrina Season 4. I have so many conflicted feelings. I like it at the same time, but I wish it wasn't ending. I wish the ending was less rushed, but I still think it was satisfying. It's a hard thing, but I want to know what you guys feel. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you enjoy this whole season? What are your feelings of the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Chapter 4? Let me know down in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel. I will even do more Sabrina videos if you guys suggest them down below. I will talk about references. I'll do some other stuff because I'm not ready to say goodbye to the show just yet. So alright guys, comment down below, subscribe, and give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy this video. Alright guys, let's talk about Sabrina and just the whole weird universe that this show built down below.